Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new chapter of Old Man Brad. Whether you are new to the show or returning for another chapter, thank you so much for giving this little horror podcast a listen. And if you love the show, drop me a review over in your favorite podcast app, or you can become a patron over at patreon.com/oldmanbrad. So for this chapter, I have a film straight out of Fright Fest. Fright Fest just happened in the UK last week. I was fortunate to get a screener for the new film Broken Bird, starring Rebecca Calder. So I'm going to give some spoiler-free thoughts on that because it isn't available to everybody yet. So I don't want to give anything away. Spoiler alert, you have to see this movie. Before we dive into the movie, just want to say anyone in the Cincinnati area, come out to Frightful Fridays. On the third Friday of the month, I host a horror screening at the Esquire Theater, and our screening for September. On September 20th at 10 p.m. is The Final Girls from 2015. If you have never seen The Final Girls, this is a fun, like meta horror comedy. Have to see it. I'm excited to see it for the first time on a big screen. I've only seen it at home. But come out September 20th, and let's watch a movie together. All right, let's dive into Broken Bird.
Winter smiles. A solitary essence, not forged for this world. Who only knew love through death. Thank you. Oh, bless you all. I've worked in various funeral homes, and recently one in Ashwoodley, till the incident that sadly closed it.
A heart attack. You so very well deserved, you fucking bastard!
When could you start?
Sybil works at an undertaker's. It's a lonely job with few perks, so she takes solace where she can. This is co-written and directed by Joanne Mitchell, based on a short film, Sybil, that came out a few years prior. It stars Rebecca Calder, James Fleet, Jade Taylor, and many others. Like I said, this just premiered at Fright Fest this past week. I was thankful enough to get a screener for it to watch, and I'm going to come right out at the top here and say this might end up being one of my top horror movies of the year. I absolutely loved this film. There is so much in this movie that is just fantastic. From Rebecca Calder's acting, everybody in this movie was spot on, to the cinematography in this was just amazing. It is a very slow burn of a film, but it really, at least for me, it really drew me in to this character of Sybil as she works in a morgue. She's getting bodies ready and she daydreams. She's alone. She's lonely. And there was so much of this that reminded me of pieces of the movie Amelie, but not as whimsical and fun of daydreams. Some of these daydreams were a little darker, much different for sure than Amelie. Let's just say that. I just loved how this movie just was crafted along the way. Like I said, it is a very slow burn of a film. You have Sybil who works in this morgue. She's awkward. She's trying to kind of find her, I don't really know if I want to say find her place, but kind of figure things out in life. Like something happened to her, an accident happened to her that kind of set her on this path. There's another character in this movie. Basically, it kind of coincides of kind of how people deal with death. There is this one side of dealing with death where they're drinking, they're really upset because, something happened to their child. And then you have another side of death, Rebecca Calder's Sybil, where she works with death. A death happened to her when she was younger, where she just kind of keeps it in. This film really dives into how people deal with death differently, how loneliness can affect a person, mental health with a person, because our character Sybil, I mean, she daydreams. She dreams of this man that she met, of them falling in love. She totes this line of what is reality anymore, what is not. And it all, leads up to this ending that is kind of just heartbreaking. It was such, Rebecca Coulter did such a great job in this film as this woman who, I don't want to say struggles through life, but loneliness. Let's just say loneliness really affects her and how she interacts with people. It started out from the moment she had an accident when she was a child, and it's led through this life, and how it kind of affects her in every aspect. This movie, like I mentioned, cinematography, it is beautifully shot. The costuming, the coloring, because there are a lot of muted colors, but then we lead up to this ending that has some more bright colors in it. It isn't, like I said, it's not as whimsical. I said pieces remind me of Amelie. Amelie is kind of whimsical and fun. This is darker, a slow burn with a few moving pieces along the way. It grabbed me and pulled me in to this story. There was many times that I thought the story was going to go one way with Sybil, and it kind of didn't go fully how I thought it would. There are parts that you kind of figure out along the way of what is happening, what is going on. It didn't affect the movie in any way. It just made this movie so much stronger. The piece of how this affects this woman, I mean, these two women, but Sybil is mostly who the story is about, but it's connected to this other woman played by Saoirse Claxton, and it is just, her side is very heartbreaking of a loss of a child. She drinks a lot and the way she deals with it, but there is a connection between these two women that kind of come full circle in the end. That is just, I don't know, this whole movie, it's a slow burn along the way, but this whole movie leads you up to this ending that I think it nailed it. I was hooked in to Sybil's story through the whole way. I mean, you wonder, I've said this before, you wonder what is reality, what isn't, as you dive deeper into Sybil's psyche. Fantastic film. I don't know when this releases here in the US, but Broken Bird is a movie that you have to watch for because it is so good. Such a great movie. I guarantee you're going to see this on a list from me at the end of the year. I truly did love this film. Can't wait for everyone else to see it, so you can let me know what you think of it when it releases. Well, that's enough of my rambling on Broken Bird. If you get a chance to see this movie, do it. I do hope it gets a limited release in theaters here, because I will 100% go to the theaters and see it. But on my way out, I'm going to give you something you can watch at home right now. And I always love giving a nice Tubi recommendation. Everyone who's listened to the show lately knows how much I am hooked into 70s horror films. But there's one that I just watched from 1973 called Horror Rises from the Tomb. It's a Spanish horror movie starring Paul Naschy, who is very famous in Spain for horror films and many other films. This is the first movie I have ever watched with him. This movie didn't disappoint. It is a crazy movie. I've been into not only 70s horror, but Spanish horror in the 70s, and it all started with the Blind Dead saga. And this is one that I saw referenced in a documentary about Spanish horror, so I was like, I have to watch this. It's on Tubi, of course. But yes, go check out Horror Rises from the Tomb on Tubi. It is a wild film. Well, that will do it for another chapter of Old Man Brad. Just subscribe to the show and you will never miss any chapter or any of my Tales from Tubi series. And if you're going to be at Horror Hound on September 13th to the 15th, hit me up. Let's meet up. Horror Hound is one of my favorite weekends of the year. I cannot wait for that coming soon. But I will be back soon with a brand new chapter. Just snuggle up in that blanket, turn off the lights, because it's okay to be scared. We'll talk to you later, everybody.